Our next winner is a groundbreaking police officer who has stood up for the crested newts, the horseshoe bats, the buzzards and the hen harriers, and in the process has transformed the way his force takes on wildlife criminals.
I'm Inspector Kevin Kelly and I'm the operational lead for wildlife crime in North Yorkshire Police. The journey for me started from a young age before policing really. Never kind of anticipated that I'd be a wildlife crime enforcer per se, but I've always had an affinity towards animals. I was always kind of, doing kind of crazy things as a kid in respect to, like, I'd turn up with stray dogs, I'd find dogs on the street and bring them home and, drive my mum or my dad nuts. And I used to save up my paper round money, and the fair used to come to town. I'd save my money and buy the goldfish and rehome them, from the hooker duck. Policing's always been a big thing again because of my upbringing. There was a stark difference between right and wrong, and I kind of merged towards the right side of things to do in life, and then went across to policing when I was 22 years old, and straight away I saw a gap in the market effectively for something that was that I was really passionate about, and one of my first jobs was an animal welfare type job, and the cops just didn't seem to it wasn't normal kind of business. It was for the charities to deal with, but I saw further than that, and I saw dangerous people doing bad things to animals. That can also kind of transpire across to wives, children, and the people who mistreat animals are the people who mistreat people, and that whet my passion for it. When I started taking direct responsibility for wildlife crime in North Yorkshire, we had 8 wildlife crime officers. We've now got 42. What I've done is I've identified those people that were like me, that have the same feelings as me across the force. And now it's not just police officers. We've got PCSOs, we've got volunteers, special constables, specialist crime scene investigators. And my opinion is anybody who wants to make a difference in the wildlife crime world, we'll take the time to train you up, and that goes to show because we've got 42 officers now. We've always got a wildlife crime officer on duty, so we're never going to miss an opportunity to save a life.
If you could describe him, he's just a different, he's from a different mould. He's a police officer that if you were joining as a young cop, you'd want to be like him because he's so driven in whatever he does. We've proper brought to the fore wildlife crime. A lot of unreported incidents that would have been unreported 3 or 4 years ago are becoming reported and investigated thoroughly.
And I think for him is animals can't help themselves, animals can't pick up the phone and ask for help. And Kevin just likes to be there, to be able to be that help.
I want people to be as passionate as I am. I get that not everybody's probably going to be doing it on the days off and sat in the Batman onesie doing wildlife crime work, but I get really inspired working with my colleagues and seeing their enthusiasm for it. When I look back at where I was when I first started to where I am now, I don't ever think I could have dreamt being sat here as an operational inspector with the responsibility for wildlife crime in my force.
Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for Wildlife Enforcer, Inspector Kevin Kelly. Kevin, I'm going to ask the question, Wildlife Enforcer, the question that is on everyone's lips here. Do you genuinely have a Batman onesie? And why are you not wearing it this evening?
It's underneath.
Obviously, you are very much leading the way. Would you say that the forces in the nation's other regions are keeping up, or are they lagging behind?
I think we're getting better nationally. There's still a lot of work to do. We're nowhere near where we want to be. I don't ever think we'll get to that gold standard during my tenure, and I've still got another 15 years left to do. Wildlife crime's really kind of been brushed under the carpet for a long time. It's something that's really kind of defines me as a cop and a person, having that personal affinity to it. And when I joined the police, being able to make a difference. And in fact, when I first joined, I used to get told, no, don't go and do it because it's not important, but it was to me. Put that to where we are now, where I've got the opportunity to lead the way in what we do. We are making a big difference, but there's still a lot of work to do. One thing I am touched by is looking at the young ones around today. I could see like kind of bits of myself in there, the passion and the enthusiasm. I was humbled, you know, for the last kind of half an hour. I've been quite warm on the inside looking at these. These guys are going to take over the world.
Well, don't be humbled. I'm guessing there's a fair few of them are thinking, I want to be like that guy. and with what you're saying, that you know, this is something that is difficult to get to the top of the agenda. You know, how much of a struggle has it been to manage to get funding towards what you're doing when there are so many other issues for the various forces to take on?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we have to deal with kind of, you know, life and death situations in police, but what I've managed to look and identify is how wildlife crime and animal welfare offences are linked to more traditional crime. So a significant amount of, you know, domestic abusers have abused animals in the past. So that gets you, you know, whets people's appetites. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also wildlife crime, you know, being told not to do it because you're creating work, now to recently having put people in prison that are linked to serious and organised crime. You know, we're getting people who are, you know, exporting our drugs, who are, you know, committing the worst type of offences that we might not be able to get them for, but with, you know, the cockfighting job that you saw there, they were all hardened criminals, and we got them for that. So again, for me, it's really important that I can do it and tackle this type of crime, but in the wider policing picture, actually, when we look at wildlife crime and animal welfare, it feeds into policing right up and down the scale, so we've really got to push forward, which is what my job is, to make sure that we recognise that it's a viable priority to push forward. There's still loads to do.
Well, in terms of being recognised, I can guarantee that there's a lot of people in this room for who you are a very, very special person right now. And yes, I think that's worthy of a round of applause. And to present your awards, we have one of the nation's favourite wildlife presenters. Please welcome from Springwatch, Gillian Burke. And also joining her from ITV News and Dancing on Ice, Lucretia Millarini.
Inspector Kelly, it's an absolute pleasure to present this award. I was trying to think about what is special about this, and what's special is that, yes, our animals and our wildlife have the protection of the law, the letter of the law, but without action, it would just be that, words on a piece of paper. And it takes people like you to take action, and not just take action, but you've created the protocols and set the precedent for other people to follow suit, and that is why this award is so special. Thank you so much.
I was going to say, it doesn't actually say Super Cop on here, but it should, right? Can we get it put on afterwards? Maybe we can add it on. Congratulations, you really deserve this.
I'm pretty sure we can do that. Can we give it up for these wonderful three and for our super cop, Inspector Kevin Kelly? Thank you so much.